We're now going to set up our database table and our database as well, so we can actually store these user records. Now, this isn't an absolute requirement to allow for Google Authentication. You can do this without storing user details. The only thing is, though, you're not going to have a log of who's been on your website, and you're also not going to be able to store persistent details about your users. So you saw that we had a Google ID, which comes from Google. We had an email, but if we want to store things like, age, whatever, we can't do that. So let's sign into our MySQL monitor with our details. And we're going to create a database called website. So we'll be using this as the example. So let's use the website database. And now we're going to create a table called Google Users. So let's create a table called Google Users. Now the fields that we're going to have inside of here are an ID, which is going to be an auto-incrementing figure, or a number basically. And what this is going to do is it's going to uniquely identify your users, not based on their Google ID. So if you needed to use a specific ID to identify someone apart from the Google ID, you can use this. We're also going to have a Google ID. Now this is a long decimal, 21 length decimal that we're going to be storing inside of here. And an email address, which also comes from Google. We're going to be storing this as well. So the ID, as I mentioned, is going to be an integer. It's going to be not null, and it's going to be the primary key for this table. It's also going to be an auto increment, which I was speaking about a moment ago. That's going to increment that from 1 for the first record up to 2, 3, 4 for each record that's created. Now for the Google ID, this is slightly different, and we need to do something slightly different here. We need to store this as a decimal. And this is going to be 21 characters with nothing after it. Now, this is also going to be not null, and it's going to be unique. Now, the reason this is going to be unique is because obviously we don't want duplicate records stored in here. We also are going to perform a very simple query that's going to insert when a user signs in using their Google account, and that's only on a unique, or only on whether this field is unique. So basically what's going to happen is we're going to keep performing insert statements every time a user signs in with a Google account, but if this exists, it's not going to insert a new record, and it will also maintain the same ID and all of the other persistent details. So if that doesn't make too much sense, don't worry, it will become clearer later when we perform the query. And as I said, this is optional anyway. Now the email is going to be a variable character of 255, and this is also going to be not null. So that's done that. Let's go ahead and show tables just to make sure that that's been added, and it has. So let's now describe Google Users, and we can see that we've got all of the information that we need. So let's just check everything's okay. We've got an ID, a Google ID, and an email. An integer here, it's primary, which we asked for, and it's an auto increment. A Google ID is a decimal of 21 in length. All of these are not null, and this is a unique field, which is what we want. And the email as well is a varchar 255, just to leave enough room for an email. Unlikely that it's going to be that big, but that's it, not null, and that's the rest. So now that we've done this, let's actually, we don't need to do anything else because that's it. That's our database done. And we're not going to touch this until the end of the series, simply because we're going to focus on the Google Authentication API first, and then we'll look at storing this details in the database. So now that we've done that, we've created our database.